Ibutamoren, more commonly known as MK-677, is a ghrelin mimetic notorious for its growth hormone secretion properties. Ibutamoren is popular among a subculture of gym-goers known as SARM goblins. This subculture is mostly made up of stupid teenagers and stupid young adults who abuse SARMs, a specific type of PED. Although ibutamoren is not classified as a SARM, it is typically lumped into that category. They believe MK-677 is side effect free because it's not steroidal and does not directly suppress the HPTA axis. Online fitness influencers will get creator discount codes from these SARM companies, giving them a kickback and incentive to sell these products and lie about the side effects.
Due to the chemical's similar structure to the hunger hormone ghrelin, MK677 works as a ghrelin mimetic to stimulate stronger pulsations of GH through the pituitary gland. Ghrelin is a hormone produced in your stomach when the lack of food is present. This hormone enters your bloodstream, interacting with the hypothalamus to tell your brain that you're hungry. MK677 is ingested from doses from 10 milligrams up to 50 milligrams. Once MK677 is in your stomach, it enters your bloodstream like ghrelin does and signals the hypothalamus, which leads to stimulation of the somatotrophs in the anterior pituitary gland. This increase of somatotroph secretion releases GH, which then stimulates the liver to produce the desired hormone IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, which is the cause of the sought-after cell proliferation. MK677 has a half-life of 24 hours, lasting the user a higher level of GH for the entire day. MK677 as well does not cause 24 secretion of GH, but only increases the strength of these pulsations. MK677 is not FDA approved. Loomis Pharma required the license for this drug in September 2018 and is currently in phase 2 trials. MK677 is being researched for its promising results in pediatric growth hormone deficiency, muscle wasting disease, female fibromyalgia patients, and Alzheimer's disease. Further research is needed before wide application of this drug can be used in medical treatments. Outside of medical treatment, MK677 is mostly used by young adults to teenagers in the hope of improving their overall quality of life and progression in the gym. The benefits of this drug include an increase of GH, consequently increasing IGF-1, an increase in appetite, and improved sleep quality. This belief is due to the misinformation spread through social media platforms. Due to the information spread about this PED, young adults sporadically purchase MK677 without understanding the complex mechanisms MK677 possesses. Many people believe it does not have any heavy side effects, but just like every hormone in your body, a modulation of one over another will throw off the balance. The widely believed side effects of MK677 are edema, which is water retention, and insulin resistance, which all of these are true side effects, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. The actual side effects of this drug include high blood pressure, carpal tunnel syndrome, trigger of PTSD/increase of cortisol, insulin resistance/hyperglycemia that can lead to diabetes, proliferation of cancer cells, decreased testosterone, and increased prolactin. For PED reportedly having very little to no side effects, this is a dangerous compound that requires monitoring of health markers and deployment of ancillary compounds like berberine to keep your glucose in control. With normal to high GH levels, these side effects are typically not present, but the problem comes at higher dosages, which is typical for the uneducated user. These users will push themselves to near superphysiological doses for dangerous extended periods of time. Edema is when your body retains a dangerous amount of water and tissues, causing swelling. This is caused by an increase of sodium pump activity, which makes you retain sodium and fluids to a higher degree. Edema as well is the reason for increased blood pressure when growth hormone levels are elevated to a dangerous amount. Growth hormone as well has a synergistic relationship with insulin, causing insulin resistance when GH is elevated. Ibutamoren causes an increase in fasted glucose levels and decreased insulin sensitivity. When your body is exposed to GH, it causes your blood sugar to rise. In response, your pancreas releases insulin to bring your blood sugar back to normal levels. This is a very finite process in your body to achieve homeostasis, and when ibutamoren is added to the mix, it can seriously mess up this system. When your GH is chronically elevated, like with MK677, it will put serious stress on your liver, causing degeneration and insulin resistance, eventually causing type 2 diabetes. Furthermore, the increased appetite caused by MK677 will make you crave and overeat carbs, contributing to the risk of type 2 diabetes, with the administration of ibutamorin. Due to the water retention and proliferation of cells when exposed to GH, the tissue around the medial nerve of your hands and fingers will grow and swell. This increase in size will cause the tissue to compress and rub against the medial nerve, causing carpal tunnel syndrome, resulting in numbness and a tingly feeling in your hands and fingers. Ghrelin, being the hormone that tells our body whether we're hungry or not, quite obviously has a relationship with cortisol, elevated stress, and stimulation of the sympathetic nervous system. To think of the ingestion of MK-677 as a constant 24-hour pressing of the fight or flight button, thinking that we'll die if we don't eat, can cause this elevated stress. In rat and human model studies, it enhances the risk of stress-induced mental illnesses, including PTSD, and an overall sensation of fear. In one specific rat study, ghrelin was artificially elevated 24/7, and when rats were exposed to fear, they were found to have a greater fear memory compared to control groups. Anecdotal reports of many weightlifters state that even with the improved sleep quality MK-677 possesses, this stress response to the constant ghrelin agonism caused trouble falling asleep and going through their everyday life. MK-677, through the secretion of excess GH, causes an increase of insulin-like growth factor 1, which is known for its proliferation of cells. This hyperplasia is a sought-after effect by many gym goers, but there's a high cancer risk with this excess IGF-1. The average young adult taking this compound most likely has not obtained useful overall biomarker testing. A malignant tumor that the user is unaware of is incredibly dangerous when MK-677 is administered, as it will cause a huge spike in growth of this tumor's tissue. Seeking testing from a medical professional is needed for safe use of this compound. An appealing aspect of MK-677 compared to other HPTA suppressive compounds, such as androgenic anabolic steroids and selective androgen receptor modulators. What is unknown is that MK-677 has a downstream effect on the HPTA axis, which can result in suppression of testosterone, increased prolactin, and development of gynecomastia. The position where GH is secreted on the anterior pituitary gland is what is known as the somatotroph. The stimulation of the somatotroph does secrete GH, but as well triggers the release of prolactin. This increase in prolactin can cause gynecomastia, which has been anecdotally reported by a plethora of users. As well as gynecomastia, this increase of prolactin can have a feedback loop effect on serum testosterone levels. An increase of prolactin negatively affects GnRH, gonadotropin-releasing hormone. This is the hormone that signals the production of testosterone by the testes. Inhibition of this hormone has been shown to negatively affect serum testosterone levels. The cherry on top of all these side effects is that MK-677 won't lead to any increase in hypertrophy or growth of the muscle cells. IGF-1 does cause hyperplasia by the making of new muscle tissue. The new muscle tissue will not be noticeable as they are very small cells. The same amount of work naturally will be required to produce noticeable muscle growth. It is only when you push your GH to superphysiological amounts when you see prominent development of muscle tissue. MK-677 cannot achieve a superphysiological level of GH, only raising yourself around 2 to 4 extra IUs. An increase of dose to achieve these higher levels of GH and muscle tissue will only come with extra side effects and minimal improved gym performance. The only mechanism of action for improved gym performance would be the improved calorie intake with increased hunger, or improved recovery with a deeper sleep. That is, if you do not experience the chronic stress side effect. Ibutamorin's structure is made up of C27H36N4O5S with a molar mass of 528.67 grams per mole. As you can see, the chemical structure of MK-677 closely resembles that of other ghrelin agonists, allowing itself to bind to the GHSR, the growth hormone secretagogue receptor, also known as the ghrelin receptor. MK-677 is an agonist of this receptor, meaning that when binded to the GHSR, MK-677 will fulfill the physiological process of this receptor, including glucose metabolism, the sleep-wake cycle called the circadian rhythm, effects on the reproductive system, including inhibition of gonadotropin-releasing hormone, effects on the development of fetuses, cardiovascular and immune system protection, and effects on stress through the HPA axis by increasing corticotropin-releasing hormone. MK-677 is not naturally occurring in nature and requires a rigorous synthesis process and deep understanding of organic chemistry. The synthesis process requires the obtaining of intermediate chemicals, multiple reactions, and purification steps with reagents. MK-677 was first synthesized by a pharmaceutical company called Ament Pharma, currently known as Ligand Pharmaceuticals, in 1985. A patent on this would be later acquired by Lumos Pharma, giving them sole rights to this compound. The main purpose of MK-677 was to offer an orally bioavailable alternative to growth hormone injections for kids with pediatric growth hormone deficiency. One fault of MK-677 treatment for PGHD is that roughly 30% of the kids with this disorder have a non-functioning pituitary gland, meaning they cannot produce growth hormone at all, which is where GH injections would be necessary. More recently, MK-677 has been researched for its potential use in adult patients with muscle-wasting diseases, sarcopenia, cachexia, and AIDS. Alongside MK-677's muscle preservation abilities, it as well helps stimulate these patients' appetites to allow for the patient to get the required nutrient intake for the day. MK-677 is still not approved for medical use in many countries, but many gray area companies have capitalized on the loose regulations of this substance. Online companies have found a loophole where if it states "not for human consumption" on the packaging, they are legally allowed to sell it, even though the clear packaging enticing athletes to use this substance for performance enhancement. This single "not for human consumption" line has carried and resulted in the humongous growth of this experimental PEDs and research chemicals industry for athletes. The FDA is beginning to crack down on this market with the ever-growing social media trend of taking these substances. Besides medical uses, MK-677 is used by athletes, weightlifters, and bodybuilders for the improved recovery and growth hormone effects, but it is currently banned by WADA. In conclusion, MK-677 is not a light compound to play around with, as many online influencers suggest. A deeper understanding of endocrinology and bodily systems is required before deployment of this dangerous chemical.